Hello, I'm Victoria. Welcome to my channel. We're going to try to make this quick today because I had to turn off the AC window unit to film and it is so hot in here right now. But today we are going to be doing the mid-year calm down tag that was created by Leandra from Leandra the TBR Zero. This would be my first time doing this tag. I think that last year was like the year that she created it, so it's pretty new. But I've seen a lot of people doing this instead of the mid-year freakout tag, but I love the freakout tag too, so I'm just gonna do both of them. I'm gonna try to make sure that there's variety to my answers and stuff, so that way things aren't just kind of repeating between the videos, but their questions are pretty different, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Now each question has a little title theme thing, I guess you could call it, and the first one is called Thankfulness. Says, what has 2025 given you so far? And the biggest thing that I can think of is Battle of the Booktubers, of course. It's been a lot of fun, and then the best part, of course, has been getting to make some fellow booktuber friends and just have people I can chat and stuff about books with that just get it, you know? And then also, along with that, I had a little bit of experience with buddy reads before, but I've really gotten to jump into things with that, I guess, and doing buddy reads has just been a blast. Next we have relaxation, and that is, what is the most relaxing book I've read so far in 2025? So I mentioned this in my other video, but 2025 has been kind of a weird year of reading for me. Not only have I read less books than usual for myself, it's still, a good amount, but I've also had, in general, less memorable books. Not all of them, of course, but yeah, so when I was picking out books, looking through my Storygraph and stuff, I was kind of having a hard time, especially focusing on the books that I normally talk about on this channel. And I realized for this question, I'm actually going to have to go a little bit outside of things, and it's a romance series that actually ended up being the most relaxing thing for me, and that is the Orcsworn series by Finley Fenn. Interestingly enough, the only book in this series that I have finished is a novella, I think, one called Triggered by the Orc, or Triggered by the Orc. I'm not quite sure how you're supposed to pronounce that, but this was good, but it's a little bit different from what you normally see in the series, and there was a couple other ones that I picked up. What I really like about this series, especially with the main books, is there's this kind of repeating trope, I guess, throughout them, that the orcs, part of their romancing tactics is making deals with their love interests, and so that varies from book to book, what it involves and everything, but because of that, you are quickly going into the spice, I guess, aspect of the series, and there definitely is that, it's a smutty series, but the actual romance part of it, I feel still has the opportunity to build slowly and naturally. It's honestly, I feel kind of a genius setup for a romance series if you're looking for something spicy but don't like the fake feeling insta-love thing that typically goes with that. So you get the best of both worlds. The only downfall I would say with this series is that at least the main books of this series are very long. I think they're over 600 pages according to my Kindle. So that would be why the other books that I've tried out from the series I haven't finished, just because I read them when I'm in the mood for them, and then I'm oh yeah, I had a great time with that, but I don't need to pick it up the next day to finish and oh my goodness, what happened next, But I still really appreciate the romance and stuff. So this is kind of a weird one to talk about, since 2 of the 3 books I've picked up out of this series I haven't finished, but I don't really have complaints about any of it aside from just the books are too long. But the next prompt is hydration, and it says, what is a book you truly needed in 2025? So my first instinct was to say Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, I think is the author's name. But I did mention that one in my mid-year book freakout tag, and while I definitely did need that book, emotionally, it was very cathartic to just get all that out, I guess. But I wanted to also have another thing on here, but this one's like not as emotional of a needed, I guess. And that is A Bright Heart by Kate Chenley. This is like a Chinese historical fantasy, and I had never read something in this type of setting. I think I've read like things that are technically Chinese historical settings or Asian historical settings, but this one specifically felt like Chinese drama type of writing, like the plot lines and stuff. Like it felt like something I would see in a Chinese drama, and then you also had the politicking and stuff that commonly goes with that. And the reason why I'm putting this as an answer for this prompt is because I have a few, oh, I don't remember what the genre is called, but they're like Chinese historical fantasy books that are typically sold next to the manga at bookstores. But I had been hesitant to pick them up, even though I own three. I own like the first book and like three different popular ones. And I had been hesitant because I like Chinese dramas a lot. And I guess I was worried that it wouldn't translate the same, you know, because I get different things out of different mediums and stuff. Like what I want out of a written word book versus a manga versus anime versus Desperate Housewives or Severance, you know, like all these things fill different needs for me. So I was worried that reading a book like from that genre would leave me disappointed. And this one I picked up the audiobook on Libby after seeing it at Barnes and Noble, and I thought like the cover was really pretty, and so I picked this up and I had a good time with it. I wouldn't say it was like a perfect book or anything. It's not a new favorite, but I did think it was good. It was a really fun time. But the main thing that I really liked about reading this book and why I picked it for this question is it made me realize that I did enjoy what I think is likely to come from this genre of books. So I am feeling like less nervous about picking up other ones, and so I think that's, you know, really good for me. Next we have Nourishment, and it says, what is a book that has given you energy? This one was a super recent read. Like I read this I think like 3 days ago, and that is Breath of the Dragon by Fonda Lee and Shannon Lee. This I think is considered YA. I also listened to the audiobook for this during work, and I actually listened to the entire audiobook in like one shift. I was just on a roll. I was really feeling this. So I think that is the biggest thing for why I would say it like gave me energy. And then also I was really vibing with it being like a martial arts story and stuff. I think there's an energy to martial arts fight scenes that is completely different from like sword wielding war battle scenes. I like both, but there's definitely an energy, I guess, to martial arts fights that I guess I could think of maybe like watching wrestling or something that makes you like want to smile and be like, yeah, like, and so I just had a really good time with that, and it energized me. But I also am really happy because listening to this kind of made me feel nostalgic, because I grew up watching like martial arts movies with my dad, and reading this book just brought back memories of like all of like our favorites. Like there's Ip Man and Chocolate and Azumi. Actually, Azumi, they had swords in that. I don't think that would be considered martial arts. Well, but Ip Man and Chocolate for sure. And then there's also the show on Netflix that I highly recommend if you like fight scene stuff too. Your Name, that's what it was called. I almost thought I forgot the name. But then we have Familiarity. What is an author or authors you've returned to? And the only one I really noticed was S.A. Chakraborty. I read The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi this year, and I had read the Daevabad trilogy in the past, so that was a return for me, and I really enjoyed that. But I think the Daevabad trilogy is still better to me. I do plan to continue whenever the author comes out with the next book, but it wasn't quite as good. I think mainly just because of the type of story it is. Like the Daevabad trilogy, you know, there's a lot more politicking and stuff, and that's like really down my alley. And so I still had like a really good time. It was a fun adventure. I liked the characters. It was just didn't quite have enough things of the things that I like thrive off of, you know? Next is healthy risk. It says discuss an author, book, or experience out of your comfort zone. I think that book-wise, the main thing I read that was out of my comfort zone would be Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I had talked about this before, but I just picked this up randomly. It was like the Cranford edition of it at Books A Million, and I just thought it was really pretty and it was affordable, so I decided to give it a shot, even though I was like not sure how I would do with that genre, and just classics in general I don't have a ton of experience with aside from like Shakespeare during school and then like kid versions of classics when I was in elementary school. So I picked this up and I ended up really enjoying it, and now I am a lot more open to trying classics. There's definitely still a lot of them that I think I would be hesitant to pick up, but there's also a lot more that I am interested in picking up too. And then for reflection, it says, let's reflect on how our reading tastes have changed. And I can't speak. I think I just went over that. I think that the biggest thing is that I am quite a bit more open to other genres outside of fantasy. Since starting this channel, I have primarily talked about fantasy. I would say like 98% of what I read is fantasy, and I had like dipped my toes into sci-fi. There's been a little bit of manga, and even then a lot of my manga is fantasy. But this year, I've been trying out some classics, attempting to find a horror that I like. Aside from Slewfoot that I had read in the past, I haven't really quite found my thing for that yet, but I'm working on it and I'm open to it. And while I don't think I'm ever going to stop favoritizing fantasy, I think it's good, that I have broadened my horizons, I guess. Then we have Detox. It says, book or author or reading habit you don't want to bring into July and further. I don't know if I really have anything for this. One thing I've been hesitant about is The Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. I have read the first book and I did enjoy it, but it wasn't like new favorite level. But there was quite a bit that I liked about it, but I just don't know if I see it being a favorite. And I don't know, with me not seeing that, if it's worth how long the books are, and that's just so much time to dedicate to a series that at most I think I'll really like, but not quite reach that absolute favorite level. At worst, I spend thousands of pages with this series only to be like super disappointed. And I don't know, like I know that it's a favorite for a lot of people, and I know that it's kind of a weird reason to like not want to continue a series. Like it's like kind of just nerves or fear, I guess. And there was stuff I liked, like there was a lot that I liked about the first book. I don't know. It just feels like a lot. I don't know. Maybe I might one day, either soon or years down the road, who knows, get around to picking up book 2. And if that book isn't like, okay, yes, this series is going to make it, or at least I could see it making it onto like my absolute favorites list. If that book doesn't do it, then quitting. Because at that point it would be like over 2,000 pages, right? I think the shortest book is something like 1,100 pages or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I might give it one more book, but I also might call it now. But next we have Positivity, and it says give some anticipated releases or events you're looking forward to in the second half of the year. So I talked about the few upcoming releases that I'm looking forward to in the Meteor Book Freakout tag. As for events, I don't really know events for this year, or really ever. I always like hear about events after the fact. I live in a bubble. But if you know any bookish events that you think seem perfect for me, coming up this year, please let me know. I would love to at least look into it and see if it's something I'd be interested in going to. And then also, not even like in-person events, maybe like really good readathons that happen every year that I just don't know about since, oh, that's another thing that I'm new to is readathons. That was fun this year also. But yeah, so since I'm still kind of fresh with that, if you know any that are just like so much fun, tell me and maybe I'll look into trying those out too. But I have a bad habit of avoiding the books I tell myself I need to read, so we'll just see with that. And then last but not least, we have look ahead. What plans or goals do you have personally for BookTube or your reading lifestyle? The main theme, I guess, of the couple things that I wrote down is that I am excited to try new things, I guess. So, I have been in this journey of working at getting better with filming, editing, lighting, like just all those kind of things. And it's been a very slow, gradual process of working on that, but I also want to do more. So I am interested in learning how to do like those really pretty bookstagram pictures and stuff. I would like to be good at that. And also, I did one reading sprint a long time ago, and I would like to get back into doing reading sprints. It would just involve me using different software and stuff, and I've been letting that intimidate me. But I want to do that because I really want to do reading sprints where I am prioritizing tackling like my physical TBR that I have, because it's getting a little bit out of control. And then I also would like to do some like reading vlogs, but ones that I guess I make like all pretty and stuff, like trying out B-roll with like music and things like that. I highly doubt that I would do that regularly, but it's at least something that I want to learn and like feel semi-confident about, because I think that's the biggest thing of what's stopping me from doing them, is just feeling like I don't know how, And so I want to push myself with all these different things to learn how to do more, I guess. But yeah, so that's it for the mid-year calm down tag. You did a great job at creating a tag, Leandra. I had a really good time filming this, and it was actually pretty peaceful. No freaking out. But thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.